Thank you very much to everyone for staying with us. We will now start off day two with the first plenary, as in start off the first plenary of day two with a very, very impactful session. We've got friends from all around the world who are each running their own social businesses. They have a very varied perspective of how they're running them and the challenges that they face and how they're working around them, the various strategies that they're implementing, and most importantly, the impact they're having on the ground. For this session, each participant has already been provided the opportunity to share your screens. We've got two very special guests, two participants who are our friends on the ground, already running social businesses, and they're coming through with respective representation on the panel, and we would request the panelists to introduce them when the time comes. But without further ado, to introduce the panelists and the topic, I would request Ms. Lamia Morshed to commence with her moderation. Over to you, Lamia. Thank you.
Thank you, Prami. Can you hear me?
Yes, please, loud and clear.
Okay. It's good to be here on day two of Social Business Day, and thank you all of you joining us live and via stream. It gives me great pleasure to host this session because it's bringing together many of our friends and colleagues who've been implementing social business in many regions of the world in various capacities. We have Dr. Faiz Shah, the president of UNIS Thailand. We have Gao Zhan, president and co-founder of Grameen China. We have Dominic Douster, the managing director of UNIS and You Foundation. We have Shazib Khairul Islam, the founder of YY Ventures in Bangladesh. And we have Marie Souberin, the communication and employee engagement manager at Danone Communities France. Each one of the organizations represented here are implementing social business in a different way. Some are supporting incubation and acceleration. Some are engaging with academia, such as UNIS Thailand. It started off with the UNIS Center at the AIT. Some are funding social businesses like Danone Communities. Some are implementing microcredit programs, which for us is the first and one of the most significant social businesses that's in China. And so this panel represents a whole range of activities coming under the rubric of the social business movement. And we chose these particular organizations because they represent such a breadth and depth of activities. So I will call upon each one of you to describe your organization's work, how it started and kind of the journey and going into it. And then after the presentation part, we will have a couple of rounds of questions about your work. I know that both Gao and Marie will also be introducing friends from the field. This was an idea to have at this Social Business Day, to hear from those who are actually at the grassroots doing the work, because some of us are umbrella organizations, so we wanted to get that perspective too. So during your presentation, if you could just introduce your colleague, that would be great. One thing before we start is I wanted to give the context. I mean, basically, yesterday you heard at the opening what the challenge is. We are talking about no going back on the one hand, and we're talking about building a world of 3 zeros on the other. These are both very large, very important and ambitious goals, but they're also urgent in the sense that, as Professor Yunus says, we are running out of time with the devastation of the environment and the way that wealth concentration, the pace at which it's happening at such an unsustainable way that these problems need tackling immediately. So while we are doing our social businesses on the ground and while we are happy with what is being achieved, there's a great need for us to accelerate and amplify so we can have a real dent on these large global issues. So I wanted to just mention, actually, I got a couple of statistics here, which I'll mention before we start. The world's richest 1% have more than twice as much wealth as 6.9 billion people, while almost half of humanity is living on less than $5.5 a day. The increasing wealth gap between some of the richest people in the world and the poor is a major barrier in the fight to end poverty. While the man made buildup of CO2 in the atmosphere is increasing like never before, it took over 200 years for levels to increase by 21%, 25%, but now just over 30 years later, we are approaching 50% increase. Global emissions will need to be brought down to net zero within about the next 20 years if global warming is to be limited to 1.5 Celsius. And on the other hand, there's a statistic about that suggests that 600 million jobs would have to be created over the next 15 years to meet youth employment needs. Finding decent work is a big challenge for this demographic, the youth who we are talking about, and who's the focus of many of our social business activities. And so this is impossible in terms of the numbers we see. So we need job creators rather than job seekers, and enterprise instead of employment. And these are the two, I would say, just to frame our discussion, to state the kind of size of problem that we are faced with in the future. And we want to see how all of us in the social business movement can make a dent on that with our various activities. So first of all, I have the pleasure to invite Dr. Faiz Shah. One second. He is, I want to get this right, he is the president of UNIS Thailand, which promotes social business in Thailand, ASEAN, and beyond, incubating entrepreneurs and sharing enterprise-led development expertise with academia, business, and communities to build resilient communities in line with King Rama's sufficiency economy. Dr. Shah is also the director of the UNIS Center at the AIT, which is one of the oldest centers in our network. So Dr. Faiz, I invite you to present about your journey and what you are doing and what you're looking forward to.
Well, thank you, Lamia. Thank you, sir, and everybody on the panel and friends. I'm speaking here from the UNIS Center in AIT, and you can see behind me our community business. This is an actual community shop in on the campus at AIT, where we've now decided to provide a kind of clearinghouse for small or micro businesses on campus. And this is in particular reference to the COVID situation. So I'll dwell a little bit more on this a little bit later. But first of all, I think one thing that's become very evident to all of us in wherever we are, whether we're in the developed world or whether we're in large cities or small cities, whether we're actually in the business of business or outside of it, there is no going back, whether we like it or not. The fact is that the world has transformed itself so much that whatever we try to do, as even if we say that we are going to build back better, the other big phrase here, it's not really going to be like that. Two things have struck us in Thailand, which are very, very important and which are contextually, as Lamia has described, very relevant to what we do. First of all, our economy is based on mobility. In Thailand, if you imagine Thailand and its economy, it's $157 billion a year. Almost half of that is tourist based, mobility based. People coming into the country, people coming through the country, and people then using the goods and services that this country produces to really high standards to really then churn the economy, which basically means that the largest swathe of employments are in agriculture, in tourism, and retail, in mobility, in transportation. You lock down a country and you slice away an entire economy. And these are people on jobs that do not generate savings. These are people who do not have permanent homes to live in. These are people who are often living in a place which is not their home, mostly urban centers. So that was the first thing. Thailand has suffered exactly the same thing that so many other mobility based economies have suffered. And the fact that this was a resilient economy is the second point that I'm trying to make here. The other one is that Thais by nature are an entrepreneurial people. Thais by design, by nature, by proclivity are people who work hard and who somehow manage to find a way through whatever they are experiencing. So, in a way, the first jolt has been somehow overcome by this natural resilience that Thailand shares with some of our neighbors. In this context, what we have done is that we have started to build capacity in the south of Thailand through a project that we are implementing through the UNIS Thailand Foundation, which is creating small microeconomy driven capacities. Women entrepreneurs working on food supply chains so that they can become, well, food autark or food resilient, food secure, and also feed into the other supply chain networks that this country runs. So by creating microeconomies with food, we're creating resilient communities. And one byproduct of that that we've designed is intercommunity dependency, higher trust, and more shared commercial interests so that they'll make sure that the businesses don't fail. Because businesses, if they work, will not only sustain families, they will sustain local communities and their partnerships. That has been our biggest effort in the last year. And the second thing that I wanted to quickly introduce is again a capacity building driven thing, which is the UNIS Professional Masters in Social Business and Entrepreneurship. This has been our second kind of labor of love through the COVID months. We worked through building courses, rallying faculty, and finally getting approval for a fully accredited professional degree offered at this time by the Asian Institute of Technology, which is now actually going to start building leaders for the world from which there is no going back and which we're going to build again. These are the 2 points that I wanted to contextualize to this conversation. But I also wanted to show you a small little movie as I close. This is a few seconds about our social business on campus and how we are getting campus entrepreneurs to start selling goods and services and creating a microeconomic community of our own. So Cam, are we ready with it? Yeah, let's go. I'm sorry, we could be experiencing some tech issues here. Ready to go.
Please be sure with sound option on. Also, we share the video with sound option on.
Right now, we're at the Asian Institute of Technology in Bangkok. So it's a development-oriented university since 1959, where we teach engineering, environment, development, and management for people who wish to go back to their countries and build their countries up. At AIT, we have 2 social businesses on campus.
ค่ะ ตอนนี้เราอยู่ในชิวๆ AIT Social Business นะคะ เราขายสินค้าเล็กๆค่ะ แล้วก็มาจากหลายคนนะคะ ทุกคนสามารถทำได้ค่ะในธุรกิจนี้ เรามีสินค้ามาจากคนที่ใช้ฝีมือทำแล้วก็คนตาบอดอย่างเงี้ยค่ะ เราได้ช่วยเขามีเป็นส่วนหนึ่งที่ได้ช่วยเขาอะค่ะ ให้เขาเอามาวางขาย แล้วก็ตอนนี้เราก็ได้เปิดร้านนวดซึ่งมันก็มีความคิดมาจากการได้ช่วยชุมชนช่วยคนนะคะแล้วตอนนี้เราก็เปิดอีก1 ร้านนะคะจาก Social Business นี่แหละค่ะ
They started as projects, but now one of them at least has been handed over to a cooperative of women masseuses who deliver massage therapy, but they run it as an independent business.
ซึ่งก็ไปได้ดีค่ะแล้วก็ทุกคนก็มีความสุข
They've survived as businesses, they carry their own expenses, and we're able to demonstrate to our students as well as our visitors that actually social business does work and it does solve social problems.
Well, that's it. I thought this might generate a few questions as we move along. So back to Lamia.
Can I just
we're
ask a
happy
quick
to-
question? Quick
Sure.
question. You said that the massage business is something that's spun off as a separate business. So I didn't catch that part.
Right. The background to this is that the idea was to allow these women to own a business themselves. And so we started it for them in a way, and to help them. But then gradually, they've now moved to a point where they're now self-sufficient and they own this. But there is a subsequent story to this also. When the massage business was stopped by the government because of the risk that it carries, these women would then we helped them set up a food kiosk in the cafeteria. And so now the masseuses, since they are no longer allowed to actually serve customers, are now serving food in the cafeteria. So we have not let them basically suffer the consequences of a public health embargo. So because they're entrepreneurial, because they want to still work, you can now find them in the cafeteria, still sufficient, still employing their entrepreneurial skills.
Thank you, Dr. Faiz. Those were three examples of programs that you're undertaking, which are both powerful and replicable. And hopefully we'll come back in the discussion to talk further about that. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Gao Zhan. He's the president and co-founder of Grameen China, which is implementing microfinance following Grameen in many parts of China, including very remote areas. Mr. Gao has also been involved in connecting us to Zhengzhou University, one of the oldest universities in China, which has introduced a Yunus Social Business Center to further social business in the curriculum. So he's involved with both microcredit as well as social business. And I would like to invite Mr. Gao to tell us where things are now in China and how it's looking for the future. Mr. Gao?
Please unmute, sir. Mr. Gao, please unmute yourself.
Hello?
Yes, okay, perfect.
Yes, we can hear you now, Mr. Gao. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Dear Professor Yunus and guests from all over the world, my name is Gao Zhan. I'm from Grameen China, a microfinance organization that dedicated to helping low-income women in China building business to enable financial mobility using the classical Grameen model. Grameen Bank is the number one social business. Its huge impact not only spans across Bangladesh, but also Grameen America, China, and the rest of the world. We now have Grameen America, Grameen Yemen, Grameen Turkey, and Grameen China. We believe that social capital is a primary driver of success of human race, and its understanding and adoption can have significant impact on individual and the collection. The Grameen Bank has achieved a payback rate of over 99% by using social capital to ensure the successful payback of loans. Loans are distributed to Grameen Bank members through groups. Groups are made made up of 5 members and have the power to decide whether to allow the new member into their group and whether to approve the new loan for one of the members. Each group member has an incentive to enable it to propose loan carefully because their neural of their own loans depends upon the successful payback of loan by all group members. The groups is and an effort for loan approval, and there provides both support and peer pressure to ensure that loans are paid back once intended. Social capital is a set of close relationship found among rural villagers. The success of Grameen Bank depends on the social capital that binds members together and ensure payback. Professor Yunus visited local villages in China and state Grameen China in December 2014. The next letter. In 2019, Professor Yunus met Mr. Tianguo Li, chairman of China Construction Bank, which is also one of the biggest banks in the world. Then we started the cooperation with CCB to open more branches in China. Please watch the short video from one center meeting of the cooperation project with CCB.
池塘边的榕树上，知了在深深地叫着夏天。操场边的秋千上，只有蝴蝶儿停在上面。黑板上老师的粉笔还在拼命叽叽喳喳写个不停，等待着下课，等待着放学。
Today, Grameen China today, Grameen China has expanded from 1 villager to 4 provinces and 10 branches, and they in Henan province, Jiangsu province, Yunnan province, and even Shenzhen city, one of the most developed cities in China. We have 9 Bangladesh experts working closely with Grameen China. We are serving more than 4,000 women so far. They meet every week to talk about their family, education of their children, their business plan, the problem they face in their life and their future. Every year, we have China Yunus Social Business Week. So far, we have organized 15 events in 8 cities with Professor Yunus. For this year, during the pandemic, we are planning to organize the Viral China Yunus Social Business Week. Welcome all of you to join. We have set up Yunus Social Business Center in Zhengzhou University and Renmin University to encourage their young people to promotion. Okay. In Shanghai and Ningbo, we have set up 2 Grameen China study centers in high schools. We bring high school students to visit our projects, to talk with our women members and learn about social business. One day we will have a world of the 3 zeros: 0 net carbon emission, 0 wealth concentration, and 0 unemployment. Thank you. And now I would like to bring you a rural area in China. It's also the first branch of Grameen China local village. Local villager, please.
Oh yes, we were able to see the borrowers of the local branch.
大家好，我叫欧纯碧。2016年加入格莱美中国，现在已经在格莱美中国工作第5年了。好的，谢谢。
Good afternoon from Grameen China local office. I am Mohammad Muslim Rahman. We are here present with our member. Everyone happy to our Professor Yunus. They also love our Professor Yunus. They also made one road name is Professor Yunus Road. And after visiting our Professor Yunus 2014, many members now became our members. They are benefited from the Grameen Microcredit Program idea. Thank you so much with our member.
大家好，我是格莱美中国一名会员，我的名字叫许璐。我非常感谢格莱美公司，在我最困难的时候给我一笔无抵押、无担保的一笔贷款。我是做煤炭生意的，让我的生意做得更加兴隆。大家好，我叫陆淑英，今年75岁了，我是格莱美银行这个一名会员，我现在在家里做烟豆子。
大家好，我是周金兰，我在家里，我是格莱美一个会员，我是家里搞这是那个是农业化肥，给我很大的帮助，谢谢。
大家好，我叫卢玉梅，我是格莱美的会员，我在这边我感谢格莱美给我很大的帮助。
我叫孟艳萍，我是格莱美的一名会员，贷款子呢种地，对我的帮助很大。
大家好，我叫张凤娥，是格莱美一名会员。格莱美给我在格莱美这里贷款，给我家庭带来了很大的帮助。
大家好，我叫王静，我是格莱美公司的会员。我贷款为兔子，现在兔子养得很好，因为加入了格莱美公司，也认识了很多在一起做生意的姐妹，对他很大的支持。谢谢。
大家好，我叫王艳秋，我来自路口村，我是格莱美会员。加入格莱美之后，我更加注重孩子的教育了。
大家好，我叫王红艳，我是格莱美的一名队员，现在在家养猪。
大家好，我叫崔新梅，我是格莱美一个会员，我家里在住家庭主妇。
大家好，我叫周玉美，是格莱美公司的一名会员，现在在家里养兔子，谢谢。
大家好，我叫曹富香，我是格莱美中国的一名会员，我家养兔子，每周参加呢
主营会议，大家在一起互相呢交流源头经验。谢谢大家。
She's a Grameen farmer who takes a weekly meeting with the other members of Grameen Bank.
大家好，我叫陈宗霞，在这是格莱美银行这个1名会员。这个里贷款呢是种地，搞种植。格莱美银行对我的家庭帮助很大，感谢格莱美银行。
She's a farmer who takes weekly meeting. And she's really thankful for the contribution of family to her family.
大家好，我叫薛英，我是格莱美1名会员，我家里开小卖店，种点地，参加这格莱美对我家里很大的帮助，谢谢。
She runs a little shop around the village. Also, she's a farmer, and she's very thankful for the Grameen Bank for the loan she takes.
大家好，我是快递米的1名会员，我叫李丽，我在家做了1名来不同的家庭小吃，这牛肉酱啦这么的，感谢克莱米呢对我的帮助和照顾，谢谢。
She make beef sauces in her spare time, and she enjoyed this community very much. And she's thankful for the Grameen Bank. As usual.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's wonderful to see the Luko Village branch. It's the very first branch that started in 2014. Professor Yunus visited that. And I know, Mr. Gao, that you gave your own house property for the building of this branch. And also, it's very nice to see Mr. Muslimur Rahman, who is the head of the branch and who's from among our colleagues from Grameen Bank in Bangladesh. So thank you very much. I would like, thank you again for that and for joining us from the field. I would now like to invite Shazib Khairul Islam. He is the founder of YY Ventures, which is a social business company created in partnership with Yunus Center that supports early stage social businesses that are driving change. Before founding YY Ventures, Shazib led the establishment of Bangladesh's first independent social business incubator, YY Goshti, which has backed 50+ social entrepreneurs since 2016 and who have impacted on the lives of more than 100,000 people. Shazib, I invite you to just talk about what you are doing now, what you've done during the pandemic, and what you see in terms of opportunities and scale up going forward. Shazib.
Thank you so much, Lamiapu. I'm very lucky to have the introduction from my own chairperson of our board. Uneven development is a common problem in the global south. Growing up in a remote village of Bangladesh, I have personally witnessed some of those issues like lack of access to clean drinking water, no electricity, lower prices for crops of our farmers, and so much more. And these things that should have been basic rights turned out to be a matter of privilege to many of my community members. And these experiences have translated into an ardent sense of responsibility and passion for social change in me. In 2013, the moment when I was ready to offer myself to the world around me, I met Nobel Peace Prize winner Professor Muhammad Yunus at Social Business Day in Dhaka, exactly the same event 8 years ago. Social business gave me a purpose beside giving me immense joy and opportunity to serve my community. And the first 2 attempts that I had were futile, an art agency and an education social business. Then I started YY Goshti, Bangladesh's first independent social business incubator, with my friends without knowing what an incubator is or how it works. But guess what? Somehow it worked. I'm very happy to report to you that we have been able to support 60+ social entrepreneurs in the last 5 years who have helped 107,000 Bangladeshis to have a better life. And this journey gave me confidence to start a clean water project, a co-working space, and also a creative design agency, and also invest in a community tourism social business. It's called Obichatrik, comes from the first batch of YY Goshti Incubator program. And today I'm joining you all from a community space that's managed by Obijatrik in the outskirts of Dhaka. Poverty, unemployment, and climate change, and many other issues goes hand in hand, be it in Bangladesh, Central African Republic, or East African countries. At YY Ventures, we try to equip and empower young people to shape their entrepreneurial ideas into viable social business ventures. At the beginning, we seek for these ideas, then we shape these ideas at our community space by running boot camps and also giving them access to network and money. We tell our entrepreneurs, your job is to solve this problem and let us take care of everything else, from accounting to legal advice to giving them office, even creative design and digital services. We take care of all of them. Currently, my mission as I come back from a 1 year of sabbatical at work again full time is to finance 100 social businesses in the next 9 years. And I hope you will join me in this journey. And to answer you, Lamia Apu, during the pandemic, just 10 days before the pandemic, we started Impact Hub Dhaka in Bangladesh. And guess what? We went into a lockdown for 6 months. There were literally no people. But what we have seen is there was dire need of face shields, face masks, protective equipments. We turned the whole space into a maker lab by using 3D printers. We produced thousands of face shield masks, and all of them were led by our entrepreneurs, and we have served many hospitals. Another thing that we have seen throughout the pandemic is our resources are very limited. So we need to share them as much as we can. And as humans, we need to eat food, which means we have to take care of our farmers. And our friends have been connecting a lot of farmers, thousands of them, through digital platforms to deliver food in our households. And we entered another phase of lockdown, but we should continue the work that we are doing, be it in a physical space, hybrid, or online. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Your organization is an example of an organization that's actually powered through and done a lot of other things beyond pandemic response activities. You were doing face shields, you were doing a distribution of masks and all of that, but you also continued to do your normal activities and in a scaled up way during the pandemic because you felt there was an urgency to do that. So this is a fantastic example of resilience and response in a time of great need. So thank you very much for that. And hopefully we'll have time to come back to you a little later again. Thanks very much. Next, I'd like to invite Dominic V. Dauster, Managing Director of Yunus and You Foundation in Germany. Dominic, I wanted you to explain about the YY Foundation. What's its purpose? It's a kind of unusual constellation of organizations working together to further the social business movement. So please tell us what your purpose is, how you're doing, and what you see as the prospects going forward. Dominic.
Thank you, Lamia, and Assalamu alaikum, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. And happy Social Business Day Part 2. It's an honor to join this panel with so many social business experts and far experienced practitioners. And I look forward to catch up and exchange with friends and colleagues here from Uganda, Bangladesh, Thailand, India, France, and as we've just seen, China, and I'm still impressed of the women at local branch in China. Thank you for sharing. So YY Foundation was founded in 2012 in Germany and is dedicated to the promotion and dissemination of the concept of social business as developed by Professor Yunus. And as the social business movement has reached all corners of the world, it is our ambition to enhance this momentum following an integral approach through inviting and mobilizing all stakeholders of societies to get involved. So we foster the work and initiatives of social businesses and advocate for social business in order to create a world of 3 zeros, the vision of Professor Yunus: zero net carbon emissions, zero wealth concentration to end poverty, and zero unemployment by unleashing entrepreneurship in all. So to achieve this world, we support and collaborate with partner organizations which promote and implement social business globally, mainly the UNOS Center, UNOS Social Business, among others. All organizations who focus on either education and academia, or on promotion and awareness campaigning, as well as financing and growth support for social businesses. So for example, together with our partners, we have initiated a holistic program in Colombia with the objective to create an impactful and long-lasting social business movement to support the peace process in the country through social business. Over the period of more than 2.5 years, various social business forums, young challenger meetings, workshops were held, scholarships and graduate research scholarships were granted, UNOS social business centers at universities were established, a research fund and social business design competition were initialized, and social businesses received financial support and personalized coaching. And this Social Business Day marks another milestone of a 3-year social business development program, which started a year ago, despite the raging pandemic, introduced by the before mentioned UNOS organizations in Eastern and Southern Africa to support the youth, entrepreneurs, and social business to tackle social, environmental, and economic problems. To today, 3 social business events were conducted. Actually, with this Social Business Day, it's 4. Workshops at universities were held. 2 UNOS social business centers at universities were established. 2 incubation programs were started to educate youth and entrepreneurs. And aspiring social business received mentoring and coaching and were provided financial support. So in this context, I would like to thank Professor Yunus and Lamia and the entire team of the UNOS Center in Bangladesh, Kampala International University and Makerere University, Uganda, as well as the the University of Zimbabwe and their teams for hosting this 11th edition of the Social Business Day. And as we heard before, and I can only echo that, there is no going back. It is and it remains our goal, and we look much forward to intensify our collaborations and shape new partnerships in our social business programs to work towards a sustainable future for all and to create the change that is indispensable. And to quote Professor Yunus, there's a historical year ahead of us. At the same time, there's a historical chance. So let's make it happen. So thank you very much again for inviting me and the opportunity to share a few words at this panel.
Thank you very much, Dom. The YY Foundation is partnering with us for the expansion of the East Africa Holistic Social Business Movement. And many of the activities this year are coming under that program, including the forum that we had in April, this Social Business Day, and then the Academia Conference is coming in November. This has helped us actually develop our program further in Africa. So that's an interesting new geographical area that's come in for us. And we thank YY Foundation for that initiative and support. Thank you very much. Now I would like to invite Marie Souberan. She is the Communication and Employee Engagement Manager for Danone Communities. Marie is working with Danone Communities, and her role is to increase awareness about the Danone communities and the social businesses that it supports and their actions, and also engage with the thousands of Danone employees to put their skills and expertise to use for the social businesses that Danone Communities is supporting across 15 countries, and that impact 10 million people every day. Marie, we're very excited to hear from you, and I know you will also, during your presentation, connect us to Antonia Nalunga of Jibu, Uganda, which is one of the investee social businesses in your network. Over to you, Marie.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, Lamia. It's a pleasure to be with you all. I don't know if I can have the presentation. Lovely. Thank you very much. So yes, Danone Communities is an investment fund. We are an investment fund and we're investing in social businesses, new business models, aiming to solve social issues. What we do is that we incubate and inspire to scale a portfolio of joint ventures, especially in the fields of access to safe drinking water and fight against malnutrition. We empower innovative social entrepreneurs to achieve sustainable and social impact. And what we do as well, which is very interesting and innovative, is that we test citizens' engagement models through Danone employees' engagement. Next. Where do we come from? What you see here is a picture of Professor Mohamed Yunus and our former CEO, Franck Ribou. This picture was taken in the early 2000s when we decided to build the first partnership between Yunus Social Business and a large corporate. At the time, that was a very new thing to do. And what we did is that we co-created together a social business model because that was the best way for us to test and learn. It was really the best way to do it was actually to create one and to learn from that. And that's what we did in Bangladesh, creating Grameen Danone Foods Limited in Bangladesh and producing fortified food and fortified yogurts and now biscuits. To really address some of the nutrition issues that we see in Bangladesh while creating as big a social impact as possible around this venture. What do we do now? Yes, thank you. The picture now is that we have invested in 12 social businesses around the world. They impact 10 million people every day, which means, downstream impact with consumers buying fortified food or safe drinking water from these social businesses and having access to good food or good water, but also upstream impact by creating jobs and job opportunities. And Antonia will speak about us a little bit more about on that topic, because this is really what Djibu is about. It's also about creating job opportunities for local communities. Also creating opportunities for farmers who produce milk, for instance, in Senegal for La Laiterie du Berger or in Bangladesh for Grameen Danone. So this is our footprint today. What makes us unique? What's very interesting about Danone communities and what really makes us unique from the start is that Danone employees are the first shareholders of this fund. They are the ones who can invest some of their own profit-sharing money into the Danone Communities Fund, thus allowing us to invest into more social businesses and directly having them participate in the social impact that the social businesses bring. What we try to do as well, to be very unique, is that we are instrumental for the brands within Danone because we really inspire them to have a purpose and to really align their core purpose with a broader impact. We also bring innovation and commitment inside Danone, and we involve the Danone employees as much as possible into everything we do. By allowing them to invest directly for social businesses, but also by allowing them to go on pro bono missions and putting their skills and their expertise to good use for their social businesses, really helping them to thrive and to grow and to have as big an impact as possible. Now, just to finish, I wanted to do a little bit of a focus on Africa. Africa is an extremely interesting continent. 5 of the social business models that we've invested in are actually located in Africa, accounting for more than 9 million beneficiaries and upstream impact. And maybe it would be interesting for us to dive into one of these models. And I'm really, really happy to introduce Antonia. Antonia Nalunga is the Director Area Master Franchising for Djibu. And she can tell us a little bit more about Djibu's model and what are their social impact.
Thanks.
Over to you, Antonia.
Thanks, Marie. And it's nice to meet you all. It's such an honor to be here and to be inspired by all the great work that everyone is doing. I'll just share my screen. Okay. Yes, so I'm from Jibu. Jibu is a Swahili word for solution. And the challenges that we are making a dent at, as Marie mentioned, is one, the opportunity challenge. In Uganda, we were rated the most entrepreneurial country in 2017 by the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor. Ugandans are very entrepreneurial, but 20% of those businesses fail in the first year. And it's because the ingredients of the economics, the ecosystem to make that businesses work are lacking. And of course, unemployment is also high, coupled with the lack of access to basic necessities. Water as an example, but then also their energy, sustainable energy, which is also a challenge. So we combine these challenges to form an opportunity by capitalizing and equipping entrepreneurs, these entrepreneurs with the potential to run their own businesses. We equip them with the capital, with the assets that they need to be able to provide accessible and affordable products to their communities. So how we do it is through a social franchise business model, where we partner with an entrepreneur, build out a water treatment system for them. So we invest in the water treatment factory, which is the water treatment system, shelving, branding, and then the partner, the entrepreneur, comes in with some working capital as proof of skin in the game, to buy bottles, which we all warehouse. We train their teams and work with the local regulators to get them certified and give them a small territory, typically 5 kilometer radius, so that they can go deeper into their market rather than wider to keep things efficient. And then we train them on how to produce and sell safe drinking water within that community. The target market is really the middle to low income households that were previously boiling water. So to date, our impact is 7 countries. We're in 7 countries in Africa since we launched in 2012. By Q1 2021, we had sold over around 22 million liters through a network of 137 franchise businesses and across 5,000 resale points, creating a total of around 2,600 jobs and to over 300,000 consumers. So recently, an exciting story of how social businesses can really work. We just launched our very first franchise in a refugee camp in Western Uganda in Nakivale, and happy to see the results of the first month that they've done really well, sold over 35,000 liters of safe drinking water within their first month of operation. So it is also an example of how social businesses, the momentum that it can have and the kind of impact it can generate. So I'll stop here for now and take any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. A very impactful social business. Thank you, Antonia. Marie, will you say anything more, or?
I think that's it for us. I think I suppose we're running a bit late, but I'm very happy to have questions if any.
Yeah, we actually have a few more minutes. So it's wonderful to hear all this. As I was saying at the start of the session, that we represent among the organizations here many different types of intervention and action in social business. Each one is very important, supporting startups, supporting individual entrepreneurs, investing into social businesses, creating microeconomies, like Dr. Faiz was saying, implementing microfinance, providing financing to entrepreneurs on the ground. So we rep academia and academic part, which is so important for the changing of the mindset. But as I said at the start, the problems are very large and all of our initiatives are needed. So from each of you, I would like to just ask, what do you see as especially given the pandemic and no going back, what do you see as what is needed for us to really scale up and amplify what we are doing to really start having a dent? And what do you think you will do through your organization to achieve that? So maybe if I just have one round of that before we conclude, Dr. Faiz. You're on mute, Dr. Faiz.
If I've understood this properly, I mean, are we going to now talk about how we can keep this going, or your turn to be mute now?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
What are you doing? What are your plans to scale up what you're doing, to replicate it large?
Exactly.
So we understand that everything that you're doing is very key and has been pivotal as well in many cases. So especially with the development of the
I just wanted to be clear that, for us, whether scaling up is the kind of term that we would like to use for some of our work. For instance, the three examples that I mentioned to you. The first one, which was the building entrepreneurial capacity and tying up women food entrepreneurs into the mainstream supply chains, etc., is a scalable activity. And one of the things we are doing that is we've just reached back out to the funder to say if we can create actually a more formalized platform around which buying and selling can take place and outreach for markets can take place up country and so on. So that definitely is a scalable model, and it's designed as one. But the other two examples that I gave you are more individualized because we realize that often a lot of the focus is on scalable models and it is on high impact models, which sometimes, not always, but sometimes lets people fall through the cracks. And these are the individuals that we also want to work with. And our example that like creating a master's degree for future leaders has limited scalability because the kind of models we are running will only take so many people every year in a class and reach, make them sort of reach out. And the micro enterprises that we're financing are also very individualized. So what I'm trying to say is that we have a whole gamut of opportunity as well as challenge. So one is scalable, one is not scalable to the high volumes, but high quality scalable. And the third one is particularly focused on micro entrepreneurs who otherwise might not tie into scalable models. So I hope that kind of presents the kind of challenge that you mentioned, the scale that you, not the scale, the diversity that you mentioned, that we all address in our work.
Yeah, I think also I meant scalable and also replicable, because these are prototypes that you've created, but which through the network can be set up and created in other places. And I know you're already engaged in exchanges with all of the network to bring this. So we would like to see more master's courses beyond your one. We would like to see more examples of the Chill Chill store. So, and you've always been actually, besides Dhaka, Yunus Center Thailand has attracted lots of people and interns to come and stay to learn and be immersed in the social business environment. So thank you for that, and congratulations and best wishes for your next actions. Next, can I ask Mr. Gao, what is the plan for scaling up and replication?
Hello?
Go ahead.
Hey, Mrs. Lamia, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey. Login. Okay. There are still people who are not aware that we should not go back to what we were before the pandemic. For promotion, the concept of no going back, Grameen China will work with our Industrial Business Center in the university, media, and our partners to have different workshops and firm regarding no going back. This year, we are planning to have an online China Social Business Week, inviting Professor Yunus and all social business leaders to join. In the field level of Grameen China, our center managers will discuss about no going back with our women members in the weekly center meeting. Every changes starts from one signal person, and every change of the family starts from mother. If the mother realize the importance of no going back, she will bring their wares to her family, and the mothers will bring the change to the society. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that, and thank you for having your colleagues from the field and the borrowers join us today. Can I ask Shazib now?
Yes, thank you so much. So
very briefly, because we're out of time, I'm told. So yeah.
Yes. So we have 3 different tracks of work, including our subsidiaries. So the first one is our incubation programs. Before the pandemic, we were running 2 programs each year. During the pandemic, we started to run 5 programs each year. And I think this will grow bigger, and we as a team will get better. There are 2 ways through which we are scaling up. Number 1, we are running programs specific to industries. We have just finished our very first healthcare incubator, supporting 5 startups. And first time from 1 incubator program, we started investing. Second one that we are now running is around wash. And on the other side, we have many friends from the social business industry, but also from the development sectors, groups like UNDP, UNIDO. They reach out to us and they want to collaborate with us. So we are also working on designing an accelerator, particularly focused on circular startups. Another area of growth is in one of our last programs, we had 11 applications from entrepreneurs from Africa or other countries. And typically we accept or get 100 applications just in Bangladesh, which means there is a need from others. So we are also going to hopefully operate online programs from 2022. And second one is young entrepreneurs of my generation. They often struggle to scale their successful businesses because of lack of funding. So we are currently also working on setting up a seed fund, our very first one. Hopefully, when we meet again in the next Social Business Day, hopefully physically, I'll come to you with updates. Thank you. You are muted.
Thanks very much for that. An example of a very adaptable and agile social business, especially during pandemic times. Best wishes for that. Dominic, do you have any comments to make about how you see the way forward for enlarging the impact of the work that's being done through the YY Foundation? And
yes, thank you. And I'm sorry that I cannot start my video. I think the host has blocked it, but nevertheless,
can you unblock Dominic, please? Go ahead, Dom. Go ahead.
All right. So, yeah, well, I'm a strong proponent of education and entrepreneurship. And for me, my hope is the youth. So they have all the ideas that can change the world. They drive the social transformation. They give the much needed leadership. So that's what I believe we should focus on. We should believe and support the young generation.
Yes, and I think in this situation, the 3-0 Club is a very timely initiative, and I think all of us can see an inclusion of that into our programs. Thank you, Dom. Marie, would you like to say something?
Yes, of course. What we need from our side is basically to amplify and to keep impacting and to grow the impact. So we keep investing, we keep amplifying, we keep involving as many employees and brands and corporates as possible into the movement to prove and to show that these models work, that they have an impact, that they're good for business, which, by the way, is also something very interesting that's been done with UNUS. With the UNUS Social Business Corporate Research Program. That's a very interesting conversation that we have to show through hard science and proof that this has a positive business impact in the long run. So that's what we want to keep doing, keep impacting, keep investing, keep engaging people as much as possible to prove that it works.
Thanks, that's great. We especially like the employee engagement. This is very unique in this particular model, and none of this transformation can take place if that kind of engagement doesn't take place. So, Antonio, would you like to say something very briefly before we conclude? It's great to have you speaking on behalf of one of the social businesses on the ground.
Yes, thank you. So for us, franchising is built to scale. And I think what could be done is to invite others, because we've seen the power of franchising in America and the other countries. But when we complement that with social impact, social franchising is powerful. So I think it's to invite more players in this space to adopt a franchise business model. And for us, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, all of you, for joining us today. We've come to our session and we're a little bit over time. I would just encourage all of you to please put your contact information in the chat box, so that, because I think among our viewers here, at least within the Zoom, there are people who would like to learn more about your initiatives and get connected. And that's part of what we hope for that. So thanks again, and thanks for joining us, and best wishes for your next endeavors. Over to you, Promi. Sorry about the delay.
Not a problem. Thank you very much, Lamia, and a big round of appreciation and applause to all our participants for sharing the great work that they've been doing on the ground. And we are, as always, extremely inspired by what you do. The next round of the next segment that we've got for this morning, obviously, an afternoon in Dhaka, is, of course, a very exciting round of announcements and presentations from up-and-coming initiatives. But before we do that, as I had requested before, we will very quickly go into sort of a transition mode right now. We request all the presenters from the prior session. Of course, you can still continue to be with us. And for the ones who have already joined for the next session, please stay in. We'll be joining with you in just about a minute or two. Thank you very much.